Assalamualaikum and a very good day Abid to all of you. My name is Hazira and we are from Hazfan and Co. are here to answer requirement number 4 from Patin Case, which is to explain the details on MFRS 15 revenue from contract with customers. So, what MFRS 15 is all about? First, MFRS 15 is equal to IFRS 15 revenue from contract with customers. Second, the objective of this standard is to establish principles that should be used by an entity in disclosing information related with revenue, such as its nature, timing, and its uncertainty to the users of financial statements. However, this standard is not applicable to the following contracts such as leases contracts under MFRS 16 leases, insurance contracts under MFRS 4 insurance contracts, financial instruments and other contractual rights or obligations within MFRS 9 financial instruments, MFRS 10, MFRS 11, MFRS 1 to 7, and MFRS 138 scope, and non-monetary exchanges between entities. Meanwhile, this standard shall be applied to other contracts than what are being mentioned just now.
Hi, my name is Arfan and now we are going to talk about the first step of MFRS 15 revenue from contracts with customer. The first steps of MFRS 15 is identifying the contract with customer. According to paragraph 9 in MFRS 15, the first step of identifying the revenue from contracts with customer is by finding or identifying the existence of any contracts or agreements made with the customer. In addition, there are certain conditions and regulations in identifying the contract, which are: the first one is the contract is approved by both parties, which is the seller and the customer. The second is each party's right related to the goods or services that will be transferred are identified. And the last one is the third, which is the contract has its own commercial substance. Contracts with commercial substance is possible if it allows the company to receive return for products or services. As stated from the case paragraph, the first step of MFRS 15 is applied to the business when Shah make contracts with all the customers, which are the wholesaler, the retailers, or the hotels. Other than that, all of these contracts can be identified in the case paragraph. Now, I'm going to pass the presentation to Azira Munira for the second step of MFRS 15.
Hi everyone, I'm Azira, and now let's move on to step number 2, which is to identify the performance obligations. Based in MFRS 15 para 22, a performance obligation is a promise to transfer the goods or services to a customer, and this step requires an entity to determine all the distinct performance obligation in a contract. There are two criteria to determine the goods or service is distinct, and both of those criteria must be met. First, it must be capable of being distinct. Under single performance obligation, the goods or service that is being transferred to the customer is highly interdependent upon another goods or service in a contract. Meanwhile, under the multiple performance obligations, the customer must be able to benefit from the goods or service on its own or in combination with other resources that are readily available. The second criteria is to be distinct in the context of the contract. If any of these three factors exist, then it should be combined as a single performance obligation. Meanwhile, under the multiple performance obligation, the goods or service can be transferred to the customer individually. In this case, the performance obligation is carried out in two situations. First is when the wholesalers and retailers need to come to collect those patin fish themselves. Second is when Shah needs to deliver those patin fish to the hotels in Pekan and Temerloh. In both situations, Shah has done single performance obligation. In second situation, it is still under single performance obligation as delivering and selling those patin fish are highly interdependent and cannot be transferred individually to the customer.
Hi, my name is Azizi bin Musa. I will explain about determining the transaction price. According to MFRS 15, Para 47, an entity shall consider the terms of the contract and its customary business practices to determine the transaction price. What is transaction price? The transaction price is the amount of consideration to which an entity expects to be entitled in exchange for transferring promised goods or services to a customer, excluding amounts collected on behalf of the third parties. For example, sales tax. The consideration promised in the contract with a customer may include fixed amounts, variable amounts, or both. If we take a look at the story of Patin, Shah determined two different prices for different customers, which is wholesaler or retailers and hotels at Patin and Temerloh. For the first customer, which is wholesaler or retailers, Shah put the price at 10 ringgit per kilogram. Why? Because he considered some factor such as this customer would come and collect the fish by themselves early in the morning. Also, the price stuck at 10 ringgit as those customers are his loyal customer and there were lots of competition with other farmers. For the second customer, which is hotel at Patin and Temerloh, Shah put the price at 40 ringgit per kilogram. Why? Because he know those hotels afford to buy patin fish at that price. Plus, he had to deliver the patin fish to the hotel. The distance from his farm to Pekan was about 42 km and to Temerloh about 140 km. It is far, right? This would incur him more additional cost. So, that is why he put the price at 40 ringgit per kilogram. That's all from me. Thank you.
The allocation of transaction price. An entity shall allocate the transaction price to each performance obligation identified in the contract on a relative standalone selling price basis, as per stated in Para 76 until 80, except as specified in Para 81 until 83, where it talks about allocation of a discount, and Para 84 until 86 are about allocation of variable consideration.
So next is satisfaction of performance obligation. As we refer from MFRS 15 Para 31, an entity shall recognize revenue when the entity satisfies a performance obligation by transferring goods or services to the customer. An asset is transferred when the customer obtains control of an asset. Performance obligation is a contract with a customer, includes promises to transfer goods or services to the customer. An entity shall determine whether it satisfies the performance obligation over time or at a point in time. If an entity does not satisfy the performance obligation over time, the performance obligation satisfies at a point in time.
The definition of control can be split into the following parts as set out in Para 33. Control of an asset refers to the ability, which is the present right, to direct the use of an asset, includes restricting another entity from using an asset, and obtain substantially all of the remaining benefits from the asset.